So welcome to Living Your Best with Advanced Metastatic, Chronic, or Non-Curable Cancer, supporting the quality of life throughout the cancer journey. Today's topic is building better body image. My name is Nikki, and I'm so pleased that you could join us for tonight's Be Well Talk. I also have Sharon here tonight, who is our wonderful volunteer. I do want to start with our land acknowledgement. Our health and well-being are connected to the land and the environment that surrounds us. We acknowledge that the land we share, learn, and live on are the traditional territories in Alberta of Treaty 6, Treaty 7, and Treaty 8. This is also the home of the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation within Alberta. Here at Wellspring, we are both settler and Indigenous, and we pay tribute to those whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. Wellspring acknowledges the traditional healing pathways and knowledge of our interconnectedness with the land as gifts provided by elders and knowledge keepers. Throughout the year, Wellspring Alberta offers more than 70 evidence-informed programs that address the emotional, social, practical, and restorative needs of people living with cancer. These programs are offered at no charge to our members and without referral. Our mission is that no one has to face cancer alone. Living Your Best is the collaboration with Cancer Care Alberta and Wellspring Alberta. A quick, short introduction of our speakers tonight. Dr. Kimberley Gammage is a professor in the Department of Kinesiology at Brock University. Her teaching and research focus on exercise psychology and specifically trying to get people, especially older adults and those living with chronic disease, to be more physically active. Her work also looks at how we can promote positive body image across a variety of populations using exercise and group programming designed for the community. Her favorite role at Brock is as the director of Senior Fit program at the Brock Functional Inclusive Training Center, which offers exercise programming for community seniors. So welcome, Kimberley. Carly MaGee is a part-time PhD student and full-time employee at Brock University working in the Office of Research Ethics. Her doctorate research involved in-depth consultation with Wellspring members and administrators regarding how a positive body image program should be adapted for those living with cancer. She was responsible for the implementation and evaluation of the program on body image outcomes. Since research completion, she has continued to facilitate the successful program for Wellspring. She envisions a long-term career as a part of her research enterprise and hopes to be involved in the design and implementation of the programs in real-life settings in the future. Please join me in welcoming Carly and Kimberley. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you two. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, let's get us started here. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Carly, and thank you everybody for coming out to listen to us and hopefully have some conversation with you. Our talk is building better body image, and this is sort of what both of us are committed to, and part of our research is trying to help people experience more positive body image. We know that's a challenge for many people today. And so we're sort of one person, one step at a time, trying to bring positive body image to the world. So our goals today, we've tried to make this presentation very applied. We're going to share a little bit about the positive body image program that we have built in our lab at Brock, and Carly will talk a little bit about her work in particular with Wellspring. We're going to provide some education and a little bit about some of the research from our lab and other labs as well about positive body image. And then we're really going to try to make this sort of hands-on and applicable by providing some guided activities that are designed to help you improve or increase positive body image and give you some strategies that you can take away with you even after tonight and implement into your life moving forward. So hopefully everybody has a notebook, or if you're all on a computer, so you have a computer screen that you're a computer file that you can make some notes in, that you can use for some of our activities tonight, but also moving forward into the future. And we're going to call this your toolbox for positive body image.
Great. So just to give you a bit of background on the program that we are offering, and Nikki did a good job of summarizing that in the introduction there. But my PhD work has really been centered around this program that's now being currently offered at Wellspring. And it all started in May of 2021. I was fortunate enough to get connected with some folks at Wellspring Niagara. So that was a little bit earlier in our partnership stages where we were seeing where the need was, what were people really asking for that was missing. And then when the pandemic hit, we really had to shift our perspective and change our approach. But we were fortunate enough that meant we could offer it to individuals across Canada, which was a great reach that we had. And we did something we call in the research world called action research, where I consulted closely with individuals living with cancer as well as administrators to see what is it about this existing positive body image program that we have. It's been tested with a diverse number of individuals. So we know it works, but is there anything that really needs to be adjusted for more relevance, appropriateness, suitability for your life living with cancer? Then we took those things away, made those adjustments, and that was implemented for 3 cohorts of individuals, 35 women and 2 men, like I said, from across Canada. We incorporated this research component to see, does this work as well in a different population? And we did that with questionnaires before and after the program, and then 6 weeks after the completion as well to see any long-term effects. And I interviewed individuals as well. And what we saw were really promising results that after the program was complete, we saw a decrease in a number of negative body image outcomes and an increase in several positive body image outcomes, as well as self-compassion. And these effects were maintained over that 6-week period where we weren't meeting weekly anymore. And that's why we really find value in giving you these tools to take with you, because we're hoping that's what people were doing in between, really keep up with the tips and tricks that we provided. So like Nikki mentioned, all this information went back to Wellspring, and they have asked for us to continue. Members are really loving the void that this is filling in their program series right now. So this is a part of the Educational and Self-Development Program series, and it's been offered virtually on a rolling basis since March of 2025. We're really excited. We understand we're joined today by individuals living with cancer and people that care for them. And we want to we've taken snippets out of that body image program that we've been told by participants and that we feel provide a lot of value and use in your everyday life, so that we can help just even alleviate a little bit of and help manage those body image concerns during your journey with cancer. So I think it's valuable for us to just give you a quick overview of what is body image and why is it really important. You may have heard the term body image used in the media or by doctors, family, or friends. And a lot of people assume it's really about your appearance, but it actually includes your perceptions, your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors regarding both your appearance and the function of your body. So how are we thinking, feeling, perceiving it? And then are we changing our behavior as a result of that, positively or negatively? Are we exercising because of how we feel? Are we remaining sedentary, eating certain things, not eating certain things? So why is body image important? I want you to take a moment to think about how you see, feel, think, and behave towards your body. Is it with love, respect, and positivity? For most people, the answer to this question is no. And this is because we are bombarded with messages from society and the media daily about how we should look and function to be considered beautiful, successful, and to be liked by others. So we in the body image research world, we call this the North American ideal. And we're taught to do whatever we can, whatever means necessary through dieting trends, cosmetic surgery to reach that standard. When that's not attainable for most of us, because there's so much that goes into creating that, including genetics and things out of our control, it reinforces these feelings of discontent towards our body and can really consume our thoughts on a daily basis. This way of thinking, again, another term we use a lot in this area, is called normative discontent. So it's very normal and common for people in North America to feel dissatisfied with their body, to talk about that dissatisfaction, and for that to be really consuming in a way that's detrimental to not only our physical and psychological selves, but creates this broader cascade effect that we see here. Your body image journey may be even more complex given your experience living with cancer. So we understand that you've likely experienced changes to both your appearance and function. Take a moment to reflect on how your cancer journey has impacted your body image. Are you struggling to adjust to your new body, or do you feel at peace with any of these changes? So I would invite you to, if you would like to share, to put that in the chat, as I understand we're keeping the recording anonymous. So just you can reflect on that for a moment if you want to keep that to yourself. Completely understandable. If you would like the opportunity to share and connect with others a little bit, you're welcome to do that. So we have read a lot about this, the negative body image outcomes related to your journey with cancer, feeling less feminine, masculine, avoidance of people, body dissatisfaction, feeling embarrassed or ashamed of the body. And our hope is that the Wellspring culture is so great about bringing that peer support factor in. And we hope today as well that you are reminded that you are not alone in these feelings. And one of our passions is to help spread that awareness and knowledge about positive body image to help improve, like I say, even in a minuscule amount, if we can, to improve this aspect of your journey.
So we've used the term positive body image several times, and I'm going to start by sort of making sure we're all on the same page in understanding what we're talking about with positive body image and also what we're not talking about. So positive body image is an overall love and respect of our bodies, acceptance of our bodies, and appreciation for our bodies. There's several core features of positive body image, and these core features have been shown to exist in a wide variety of populations. So we've seen these identified in adolescent boys and girls, in young adults, in middle-aged and older adults, men and women, and in individuals living with a variety of chronic conditions such as arthritis, obesity, and people living with cancer. Kind of at the core of positive body image is this idea of body appreciation. And this is appreciating, being grateful for the functions of our bodies, the health of our bodies, and the features, physical appearance and otherwise, of our bodies, whether they meet society's ideal or not. And this is what's really, I think, at the crux of positive body image. We can appreciate our bodies even if they don't meet an impossible to achieve ideal that Carly was talking about earlier. The second characteristic is body acceptance and love. And this is being able to express love and comfort with the body, even if you're not completely satisfied with it. even if there's aspects of our bodies that we don't like, we can still broadly accept and love our bodies the way they are. And a lot of people worry that if they express love and acceptance for the body, they may come across as being vain or narcissistic, and this is absolutely not what we're talking about here. The third feature is broad conceptualization of beauty. And this just means that we understand and we believe that there isn't one single ideal that we should all be striving for in terms of our body, and that a wide range of appearances and functions can be beautiful. Some of these aspects of our bodies may be more changeable than others, but we can appreciate all of them in ourselves and others. I think an important part of this broad conceptualization of beauty is that it's not just the outer packaging, it's not just our physical appearance that's important, but it's what's inside us as well. And that leads to that next core feature, inner positivity. And this is the idea that internal characteristics, so things like strength, like confidence, like happiness and joy, are reflected in our outer selves. I always like to think about this when we see women who are pregnant, we talk about that pregnancy glow. And I think this is kind of captures perfectly this idea of inner positivity being reflected in our outer selves. And then the last core feature of positive body image is filtering information. As Carly mentioned earlier, we are bombarded by information about what our bodies should look like or how our bodies should act and behave. And some of that is very positive and some of that is very negative. And it can be overwhelming at times. We may be teased or people may be critical of our bodies and our appearances or our behaviors, like our eating behaviors or physical activity, or we can get compliments and people can be very positive towards us. And when we filter this information, we don't place too much weight on it. We're not too dependent on other people's comments towards us or behaviors towards us to define how we feel about our bodies. So when we get negative information, we can reject it outright or we can reframe it. And if we get positive information, we accept it without putting too much emphasis on it. Now, one thing that I want to highlight about what positive body image is by talking about what it isn't. In social media, and a lot of us are in social media a lot of time, we have a trend that's sort of really started to take hold in the last couple of years called body positivity. And body positivity refers to the idea that we should love every aspect of our body all of the time, no matter what. And when we're talking about positive body image, although those terms sound very similar, they really are extremely different. And we often, when we hear this body positivity and this pressure that's placed on us to always be positive and love everything about our bodies, we often refer to that as a toxic positivity. And it's not realistic to think that everyone's going to feel like that. And it's not helpful to try and pressure people to have this sense of body positivity. And interestingly, participants in Carly's study often talked about the value of differentiating between positive body image and body positivity in their own lives. They described positive body image as allowing yourself and allowing others grace around our bodies. And they expressed a sense of relief that they could feel dissatisfied with some aspects of their body, or they could feel negatively about some aspects of their bodies on certain days or in certain settings at certain times, without that controlling their narrative completely, and knowing that they could still be working towards developing their own positive body image. So just remembering to start out with that everybody is going to have good and bad body image moments and good and bad body image days will hopefully bring a sense of comfort to everybody. So why do we place so much emphasis on trying to help people pursue a positive body image? There's growing evidence in research that individuals with a positive body image are more self-compassionate, and we're certainly going to talk about self-compassion throughout this entire session. Individuals with positive body image also report having higher self-esteem, so they will evaluate themselves in general more positively. We see positive body image associated with lower depression and lower rates of anxiety, and just an overall greater sense of well-being. And we come from a kin background, and so for us, we're also very interested in behaviors that are associated with positive body image. And there's evidence that individuals with more positive body image are more likely to exercise, and particularly more likely to exercise for health and enjoyment reasons rather than exercising just for weight loss or to improve their appearance. Individuals with positive body image are also more likely to engage in a variety of health protective behaviors, one example of which is sunscreen use. In terms of eating behaviors, individuals with positive body image are less likely to engage in dieting behaviors, and particularly yo-yo dieting, which means dieting, losing weight, going off the diet, gaining weight, and seeing this constant pattern of weight loss and weight regain, which is not good from a psychological health or a physical health standpoint. And individuals with positive body image are more likely to engage in health screening behaviors, and they're more likely to seek medical attention if needed. So for a whole wide variety of reasons, other than just we feel better about ourselves, there's lots of good research-based reasons why we want to help people pursue this more positive body image. So then the question is, how do I get there? So I would like to say that we have this magic key that is going to be a quick and easy solution to helping everybody move towards positive body image. And unfortunately, we don't have that because there isn't a quick solution. This is a journey for sure, and it's a journey that takes work and that takes commitment. It takes practice on a daily basis. So what we would like to do is present you with a sample of a few tools that you can use that will maybe make this journey a little bit easier. And as Carly said earlier, we've picked 5 tools, we're going to call them. There's certainly others out there. We didn't want to keep you here all night, so we couldn't present all of them. But we've picked some that we think are maybe a little bit more straightforward to implement, and that have really resonated with a lot of the participants in our programs.
Okay, so our first tool we're going to get started with is referred to as media literacy. So it's really understanding the fabricated nature of the media, that media is not reality, and challenging the messages that are sent to us via the media. So body image is a largely socially constructed concept. This means that it's influenced by things like the media and traditional media like magazines and television, as well as social media, use technology and appearance enhancing tools such as Photoshop, professional hair and makeup teams to create the images that we then digest on a daily basis. When we see these images, we might believe that these are accurate representations of beauty. And it's easy to forget that these are impossible standards to live up to. So an important step that we would encourage you to take if you're looking to move towards that state of positive body image is understanding that these images presented to us in these different media forms are not real, and they are intended to sell us something in some way, shape, or form. And the questions here are some inner dialogue that you might consider having with yourself when you see magazines at the grocery store checkout, commercials on TV. Are there any hidden messages? What is being sold to me here? and really trying to challenge that and digest those messages in a really responsible and literate way. So part of that might also be reminding yourself, as I said, these images are altered, unrealistic. And the number one most often is a way for businesses to make money off of us. They want us to buy their product, to fix our appearance, function better, whatever it may be. This is going to take practice if you're not already doing so. So take any opportunity you can to engage in that dialogue. Some of you, we are seeing different social media movements talk about this Instagram versus reality, those types of social media presentation versus a reality look at things where they show that stark comparison. So some you may feel already, I'm fairly literate already in my media consumption, and I'm already looking at these messages critically. If you do feel like you're at that point, maybe you want to have these discussions out loud with somebody else, family, friends, children, impressionable youth in your life that you feel might not be quite there yet. Because I think this is a really important message that we can continue passing down. I encourage everyone to think about how beauty is used as a means of social control. What's considered the ideal now is going to change. It always has and always will in response to political and economic changes in society. The beauty industry is worth multiple billions of dollars. And in fact, we have a really cool presentation in this body image program where we look at beauty ideals across decades, across history. And we can see really plain in sight, it's easy to see how these ideals will change, go away, and come back again decades later as the same look, but called something different. You might even recognize things in your closet that we call, everything old becomes new again. So I'd like you to reflect quietly to yourself. Why is it that we are so insistent on meeting this standard if it's always changing and just a way to profit off our insecurities? It seems impossible that we will ever eradicate the beauty industry, but what we can control, and this is in your hands, is becoming more informed consumers. So tied into this, and in addition to becoming more media literate, we can also work on that feature of positive body image Kim referred to as broad conceptualization of beauty. And this is tied right into that media literacy because it's a way of resisting society's narrow definition of beauty. If we can only see it in that one way, we will surely never measure up. So I want you to take a minute practicing, understanding, recognizing the broad concept of beauty. So I want you to write down in your notebook right now, you can take a minute to think of all the ways someone can be beautiful, different, unique. I encourage you to think of inner and outer attributes. And on a later date, if you don't have time to do it right in this moment, I think it's really valuable if you take time to write down these features that other people might see in you as beautiful. And I assure you they will be much more than just appearance-based. If we move through these tasks too quickly, just in the interest of making sure we get all the information to you. We encourage you to come back to these at any time, any date, complete them over and over again. So this is something that keep in your toolbox if you haven't completed it yet right now.
All right, so I am going to talk about our second tool in our toolbox here, and that is to be mindful of your influences. And we have there's two ways that we can think about our influences. The first is we can think about how other people in our lives can influence us and influence our body image. So I want you to take a minute and maybe think about ways in which your body image has been influenced negatively by other people in your lives. And this could be family or friends during your cancer journey or even before your cancer journey. So it could be things that people have said to you. It could be ways that they've acted towards you. It could be ways they've looked at you. And then I want you to take a look at the other side and think about ways that your body image has been influenced positively by family and friends during your cancer journey. And hopefully, as you make note of some of these influences from other people, you start to realize the impact that other people have on you and your body image. And it starts to give you a clue about the influence that you can have on other people's body image as well. And so we want to talk about both of those influences here. So if we look at how other people can influence our body image, research has shown that there are ways to influence people negatively in terms of their body image, but there's also ways to influence them positively. So in terms of negative influences, we know that one of the most common ways that we particularly see in women is through something called fat talk. And fat talk is talk that is based around appearance, weight, food consumption, dieting. Exercise is a way to control our bodies. And when we engage in this type of talk with others, even with the best of intentions, it has a pretty consistent negative impact on our body image. There's a little bit of research out there that has looked at men as well, and they call this body talk with men. And it often revolves around exercise, but exercise as a way to increase muscle mass, to build strength, and to emphasize masculinity. And again, a lot of this type of talk that very much focuses on physical appearance ends up getting us to think about that ideal and making us feel like we need to try and do whatever it takes to reach that ideal. Another example of a negative influence is when people talk about food as good or bad. This food is good for us. This food is bad for us because it has too many calories, for example. Again, it reinforces the importance of weight and physical appearance as a key defining factor. On the other hand, friends and family can influence our body image positively in many different ways as well. So, for example, when people avoid making comments around our physical appearance, when instead they talk about our inner characteristics and qualities, that has a very positive impact on our own body image because we start to see ourselves as more than just a physical body that we're living in. These mutually beneficial relationships help our body image, but they also help the body image of the people, our friends and family in our lives. Another way that other people influence our body image is by resisting making social comparisons. So rather than comparing our body image or our bodies to other people, they focus on our own inner qualities and our characteristics that, as Carly was talking about earlier, make us unique. So in terms of understanding these influences, One thing that's very important is to take a look at some of the things you've maybe written down in your toolbox and think about who are the people in our lives that are really building us up in terms of our body image, and who are the people that are maybe a little bit more challenging in terms of our body image. And there's two approaches that we can maybe take. Maybe we decide for those people that are not supporting us and not helping us move towards positive body image, that these are people we don't necessarily want in our lives because they are not helpful to us right now. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to prioritize my own health and well-being, and saying, I'm going to just remove myself from this situation. Another approach, though, is to educate them on what they're doing and how what they're doing, because I think it's often unintentional, may be detrimental to our body image. This really involves an advocacy role on your behalf in terms of promoting positive body image. And one of the things that we consistently see in research that is beneficial in promoting positive body image is to be an advocate for yourself and for others. The other thing that we want to think about, along with that advocacy, is thinking about how are we impacting other people's body image? And particularly for those who care for individuals living with cancer, this can be an important consideration for us to make. So we want everyone to think carefully about the comments that we're making about other people or to other people. Try hard to stay away from appearance-related comments, even if the comment is positive in nature, even if it's a compliment, even if we're trying to help others. Try and avoid making comments about people's physical appearance in general. There's lots of other great qualities that people have, and so we want to try and encourage everyone to focus on these more internal qualities. Particularly when individuals are going through their cancer journey and they're experiencing frequent and significant changes in their bodies. We have a rule of thumb that we've put on the slide here that we found really helpful and that a lot of participants in our program have found really helpful. If you're going to make a comment to someone about something that they can change in the next 30 seconds, then go ahead and say it. If someone has spinach caught in their teeth, if their hair is flying in all different directions, if they've got food on their face, go ahead and let them know, because they can change that easily. If they can't change it in the next 30 seconds, then keep it to yourself. If there's nothing that they can do about it, it's not helpful to talk to them about it. And for those of you living with cancer, maybe think about how this rule of thumb might affect you and whether you might appreciate others in your lives trying to abide by this guideline here. And if you're comfortable doing it, the next time someone makes a comment to you about your appearance that isn't helpful for you, maybe you can share this rule with them.
The next tool we'd like to discuss with you is coping with body image threats. Everyone copes with their body image experiences differently, and you might not even be aware of how you cope. We're going to do a little activity now that's designed to make you more aware of this, and we're going to share some more helpful, hopefully positive, adaptive strategies with you. So I want you to take a moment to write down in your notebook what currently helps you cope in situations where your body is subject to criticism. An example of this might be a beach day or attending a dinner party with friends who are often engaging in that fat talk, engaging in criticisms about food choices. I'm going to give you a minute. So hopefully you had a minute to just consider the ways you might be currently engaging in these stressful situations. So we know about, from a research perspective, some more effective coping strategies that we want to share with you. Most often people say, I would avoid that, for example. I won't go to the beach. I will stay away from dinner with that individual. And we want to share with you maybe some alternatives if you so choose, if that would be an event that you would normally want to engage in, so that you're not missing out on these moments. You're really taking stock of what is important and how can I go about this in a more adaptive way that's going to help me down the road. So the first being positive self-talk. So what I really like about these as well is that they're very easily digestible strategies that are quite simple to, even though we talk about them from a research perspective, they're not overly complicated. They're going to be very easy for you to implement in your daily life. So positive self-talk is a type of coping. It's used, you're willingly engaging in that situation that might be stressful from a body image perspective, but you're using certain positive self-affirmations and encouragement to talk yourself through it in a positive way. This strategy is not only useful in that situation, you get through it okay, but you're also providing resources for yourself and for future body image threats. You're able to handle those better. Some people might already have certain self-affirmations that really speak to them. I think this is a really individual thing. Some that might work for you might not work as well for me. It really has to be something that speaks to you. So if you don't have any really queued up at this moment, I want you to make a note for yourself to come back to this. Find even, Google some self-affirmations, find something that really resonates with you so that you have this in your back pocket for a situation that might arise, whether you have time to prepare for it or not. Social support coping. So this is just as it sounds, using family or friends to help get through a stressful body image situation. You're still, again, willingly participating. We're not avoiding that. We're not missing out on that. But you're leaning on others to help get through it. Think about what this might look like for you. So is this something that you can prepare for ahead of time? Have that support system lined up. Let them know, I'm going to need a check-in with you throughout the night. Come on over if I give you, a glance. Is it maintaining physical touch with that person throughout the whole evening, throughout the whole event? Then body image flexibility. It is this general way of thinking that I've talked about where we're not going to avoid the situation. You're still engaging in it. You're not missing out on what's important, or even in the moment stuck in your head about body image thoughts or feelings, instead of being present in that moment. Useful for long term as you're gaining resources and tolerance needed to get through future stressful situations. But again, you might need these tools queued up to help you. So think about breathing exercises, grounding exercises, which we're going to do later today. So this might be something that we can check off your list for you. Another thing that this body image flexibility reinforces is that, like Kim talked about, you can still have those negative thoughts and feelings. You can recognize those. We're not asking you to achieve perfection in your thoughts and feelings, but you're still going to behave in accordance with with your values that you're moving forward with in terms of this positivity. So not changing your behavior according to the negativity that you're experiencing in your head. So before this presentation, we asked you to write down what currently helps you cope. For some of you, you might be engaging in those positive strategies already. That's really great. For those of you who are not already using them, how might you start applying them in the future? What I really think that the two tangible things we're giving you today are these tools, as well as ways for you to prepare on the back end. So you're doing this homework in your notebook and you're preparing for the events that are coming up, if you do. So that's engaging that support person, having those self-affirmations.
All right, I'm going to talk about our fourth tool for your toolkit, which is focusing on our body's function. I was looking at some of the comments in that people have put in the chat earlier, and a lot of them are around physical appearance and changes in physical appearance that have come as a result of cancer or often its treatment. And these are things that we can't change. But again, what we can change is what we are focusing on. And I know there's a lot of changes to our body's function as a result of cancer and its treatment, but if we can focus on function a little bit more and from a positive perspective, what our body can do, it can lead to a real shift in how we think about our bodies. And we know that when individuals focus on the function of their bodies and appreciating what the body can do instead of what it looks like, it's linked to a variety of positive outcomes like adaptive eating, improved mental health, so reduced depression and anxiety, more positive body image overall, and a more positive or a higher well-being. So I'd like everybody to take a moment to think about all the things that our bodies can do. And this is probably, it sounds so easy, and then when we try and think about it, it can be a little bit more challenging. So you're welcome to write it down in your notebook. If anyone wants to share in the chat, then you're welcome to write in the chat. But all the things that our bodies do on a daily basis. So I'll give you a moment or two to maybe think about and write down a few ideas. And for some people, this is a very challenging activity to do. Some other people find it relatively straightforward. But I think there's probably a lot more things that our body does that we don't think about on a daily basis. So research has shown that we can sort of organize these different functions into a variety of different categories. And we're going to look at 6 different categories here. And I'm just going to give a few examples in each of these categories, just so we're sort of all on the same page. So the first set of body functions, or what our body can do, relates to our body's senses and sensations. So these can be the 5 senses: sight, taste, touch, hearing, smell. It can also be sensations like the emotions that we experience. And our body experiences these emotions both psychologically, but also physically as well. It might also be feeling connected to our bodies, this sense of embodiment. The second one, and it's the one that I always find, I always think of first, is our physical activity and movement. So our bodies can walk, they can run, they can stretch, we can wiggle fingers, some of us can wiggle noses, we can balance, we can do a variety of sports or activities. They might be very vigorous, they might be very gentle to our bodies, but our bodies move in lots of different ways. The third aspect is health. Our body can digest food, It can maintain a pregnancy. We can absorb vitamins. It regulates body temperature. And at its most fundamental level, our heart beats and we breathe on a daily basis. And the amazing thing is our bodies do those things without us ever thinking about them. And I'm just going to pause for a moment because I'm just looking at one of the responses in the chat. My body fought hard to get me through treatments and still allowed me to hug and move, slowly move. And that's incredible. There's so many functions in there. And I love the hugging one. I'm going to jump down to relationships and communication because certainly hugging, telling people that we love them, kissing, smiling, making eye contact, all of those things are ways that our body maintains relationships and communicates with other people to tell them how we feel. And that's such an important part of our body and what we can do. Creativity is also, we can engage in activities that really foster this creativity or show our creativity: dance, painting, drawing, singing, photography. All of these activities can be creative outlets that allow us to show our creative side to the world. And then we can also engage in self-care behaviors, things like sleeping, napping, eating, drinking, cooking, getting a massage, maybe exercising. All of these are examples of self-care behaviors that our body can do. So take a moment to think about the things that you came up with. Thank you for sharing, Debbie. Those are amazing functions, and we tend to forget about those things or skip over those things on a daily basis. We take a lot of them for granted, and what focusing on our function really allows us to do is stop taking these things for granted. So we're going to ask you to start a short activity just to kind of get you going. And then we're going to ask you to perhaps later on tonight or later on this weekend, maybe continue on with this activity. And what we're going to ask you to do is take a few moments. We've talked about a variety of different body functions there. Pick one or two or as many as you want of these body functions and write about them with respect to your body and why these functions are important to you. So, for example, if being able to hug family and friends is an important function for you because it allows you to make that connection, it gives you that sense of social support, that might be one body function and why it's important for you. And I know that for individuals living with health challenges and for all of you that are living with cancer and going through that cancer journey, it can be very easy to focus on the aspects of our function that we've lost or that we can't do anymore. But I want to challenge you to flip that script just a little bit and focus on the things that you still can do. And as I said, for me, I teach yoga, and for me, breathing, everything comes back to breathing as one of our most fundamental activities. I love to talk about breathing because we do it automatically every day without ever thinking about it. And yet it's also something that we can exert some control over in our bodies. So maybe pick one function for now and just take a moment or two to write down why that function is important to you. Remembering all the things that your body still can do. So I hope everybody has been able to come up with at least one. This activity helps us focus on appreciation and gratitude for our bodies, and particularly for those of you living through this cancer journey. As Debbie says, your bodies have fought hard to get you where you are today, and just acknowledging that and being appreciative of that can be extremely helpful. One thing with this activity that's important is the writing activity is important, but going back and adding to that writing and going back and reading it moving into the future is just as important to remind ourselves. And particularly on days when we're not feeling like ourselves, when we are maybe really struggling to find the positive, coming back to what we've written can really help to ground us and focus on the things that we still can do.
So this ties in really well with our next topic, which is self-compassion. And this is the last tool we'd like to share with you tonight. Although being kind to oneself seems like such a simple task, it can have a profound impact on our mental health. Those with greater levels of self-compassion and kindness report lower psychological distress, such as depression and anxiety, less self-criticism, and less body image disturbance. On the other side, it's shown that these individuals show greater overall quality of life. Individuals with greater self-compassion have also been shown to cope with and accept negative experiences, such as body trauma or changes, more readily. So consider the applicability of adopting self-compassion through some tools we're going to give you here. A quick overview of what really makes up this concept. Self-compassion is made up of 3 traits: mindful awareness, which refers to a person's ability to put their own situation into a larger perspective. It's easy for us to get sort of pinhole and observe these negative thoughts and emotions with openness and clarity. This is similar to the concept that we were talking about with positive body image. We can observe the negativity and feelings as they are. We're not asking you to suppress or deny them, but they are not overwhelming us. Self-kindness entails being warm and understanding towards ourselves when we suffer, fail, feel inadequate, or are confronted with painful situations. Self-compassionate people recognize that being imperfect, failing, and experiencing difficulties in life, these are inevitable. So they tend to be gentler with themselves when they're faced with these difficult situations. That concept that Kim mentioned before that came up in our program as grace. I can give grace to myself to feel this way, to move differently. The last one is common humanity, which involves recognizing that suffering is part of the shared human experience, something that we all go through, rather than being something that happens to me alone, which can feel rather isolating. We understand that cancer and its treatment have brought about vast life changes and loss. As we were chatting, I also looked through the chat and I see a lot of, I don't recognize myself anymore. My body doesn't respond the way it used to. I can't do the things that I want to do. And that comes with a lot of shame and self-criticism, which is inevitable. These are all natural reactions to the trauma you are experiencing. So as a result, researchers have developed in the past a self-compassion exercise, and it's been tested with women specifically living with breast cancer to help sort of cultivate these self-compassionate qualities. And there is evidence that after completing a short activity that we're going to do right now, women living with breast cancer report decreased body image disturbance and psychological distress. The goal of these exercises being, and this one in particular, to really accept the reality with sympathy, kindness, and grace. And because self-compassion was a outcome in our study, we really have leaned into this aspect and started to include it more so, knowing these benefits and knowing how it's really intertwined with that body appreciation as well. So for this activity, there's a few steps to it. So really commit to both of these, part 1 and 2, if you can. I want you to take a minute or two to briefly describe a time during your journey with cancer that made you feel bad about your body. Maybe someone made an insensitive comment, or you experienced a sudden and drastic change to the way your body looks and functions. So the second part of this activity is really designed around practicing self-compassion because, like I said, it's such a simple concept in theory, but so difficult when we try to really show ourselves that kindness. So now I want you to take a few more minutes and write about how you treated yourself and your body in the moment of that negative event. Was it with kindness? If not, why do you think that is? Secondly, I want you to write about how you would react if it were your friend who had undergone a similar experience. So maybe they're telling you a story about a comment someone made or a surgery they underwent. How would you respond to that? So just as you're wrapping up your thoughts, we really encourage you to, again, this is one of these activities you can come back to, really takes yourself out of the situation and gives you that broader perspective that I mentioned. Because in your answer to the second question here, you would probably describe reacting with understanding and kindness intuitively. That's your role as a good friend. So why can't we show ourselves that same kindness, understanding, and grace? So continue practicing that and maintaining that broader perspective and that mindful awareness, feeling those feelings, but not allowing that to control the narrative, the self-kindness that comes with it when you are able to say, hey, why can I say that to somebody else, but not myself?
So to wrap up, we want to finish with a short mindful meditation activity. And I struggle with meditation. The one we're going to do tonight, I really like because I find it to be a very tangible activity. So meditation is just bringing awareness in the moment of the present, of experiencing what's going on around us without judgment. And there's lots of evidence out there that shows the benefits to both physical and mental health around meditation. And there's not one way to do meditation. Everybody will find a way that probably works differently. Maybe it's a body scan, starting at our toes and working our way up to our head. Mindful seeing, mindful breathing. We're going to do one tonight called the five senses exercise. And what we know now is that with regular practice over time, meditation can actually change brain activation patterns. So it's not surprising that there's such benefits in terms of physical and mental health. So the activity that we're going to do tonight, as I said, is called the five senses exercise. You don't need anything except yourself and maybe a comfortable chair or position to be in. If we struggle with this a little bit, that's okay. It's something that can take practice. And like anything else in our lives, but this is going to be sort of our first start at it. Meditation can be hard because we're very used to very fast-paced lives, and it can be difficult to slow down, not just our bodies, but also our minds. So what I would like you to do to start with is to find a really nice, comfortable position wherever you are. So seated in a chair, if you want to lie down, whatever you want. I want you to find that comfortable position for the next several moments. Maybe closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just focusing your gaze on something in front of you if you prefer. Start taking a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe in, maybe think about directing that air right down deep into your belly. So your belly expands like a balloon filling up with air. And then just exhale, let all that air go, just like you're emptying that air out of the balloon. And once you've emptied your belly out, go ahead and take a second breath in, right down deep into the belly. As you exhale, let go of all that air. Let go of any tension. Let go of any thoughts in our brain. Now you're going to let your breath come back to whatever natural rhythm you like, whatever is comfortable for you. And as you take these breaths, just think about tension melting away from your body and bringing ease into your body. If your eyes are closed, I'm going to get you to open your eyes now. And I want you to bring your attention to five things in your room around you that you can see. Maybe think about picking something that you don't normally notice or is not the first thing that you see. Maybe there's a shadow in your room. Maybe there's a spider in the corner. just make note of any 5 things that you can see. And now I want you to notice 4 things that you're currently feeling through your sense of touch. So maybe it's the texture of your clothes on the skin. Maybe there's a little breeze that you're feeling from a fan, or if you're outside. Maybe it's the texture of a table that you're resting your hands on. But notice 4 things that you can feel with your body. Next, you're going to take a moment and you're going to note 3 things that you can hear. Maybe these are things in the background. Maybe you hear a bird chirping. Maybe the refrigerator is humming. Maybe you can hear a little bit of traffic from a nearby road. Next, I'd like you to bring awareness to 2 smells, things that you might normally filter out. Maybe they're pleasant, maybe they're unpleasant. Maybe you can smell a pine tree in your neighborhood. Maybe you can smell whatever you had for dinner. Maybe you washed hands and you can smell the scent of soap. And then lastly, I want you to think about 1 thing you can taste right now. Maybe you had something to eat before we got on this call. Maybe you brushed your teeth and you can still taste the toothpaste. Maybe you open your mouth and search for a taste in the air. I'm going to get you to close your eyes again if that's comfortable for you. And take that nice deep breath in, right down deep into the belly. And then slowly exhale all that air out. As you take that next breath in, think about how your body feels right now compared to how it felt at the start. Has anything changed? Does anything feel different? Are you more aware? Maybe more present in our bodies? This can be a useful activity, particularly if we're feeling anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, because it helps us to be present, helps us to feel more grounded, and helps us to feel connected to our bodies. When you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. Maybe a little stretch. So that ends the tools that we have. Hopefully you found something, 1 or 2 of these tools that maybe will help you in the future. Maybe you can revisit some of these activities that we've talked about with a little bit more time. And as Carly and as many of our participants have said, maybe we can remember to give ourselves grace as we move forward and as you continue in your journey. We're happy to answer any questions.